All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Drew Sims. I'm here today with none other than Ramen Noodle, the Golden Doodle, and today we're going to be answering some questions about his mom, my fiance, your best friend, Samantha Greenberg. If you guys are interested, I'll link all of Ramen's info down below in the description. He does a ton of cool stuff on Instagram as well. He's been featured in a couple of YouTube videos, so I'll go ahead and link all his info down below. This all sounded a lot funnier in my head, so I hope you guys are at least laughing. If not, I apologize. But I hope you're all having a good time in Sedona. I know Sam has been looking forward to this trip for a very, very long time, doing a ton of planning, putting the goodie bags together, and just has been so excited to see all of you. I've kind of always given Sam shit for saying she's got a million best friends, but you know, the more I've met a lot of you guys and the more I've got to know all of you, I know that Sam does really have all of these best friends. And something I really love about Sam is that she's able to keep these relationships with all of you guys, even though you're, haven't lived together or been together or been in the same city in years and years, you all still have this same connection, and consider Sam one of your best friends as well. And that is really special to me and something I really, really look up to in Sam. It's her ability to keep connections and, just make each and every one of you feel as special as you make her feel. So thank you guys all for being there for Sam. I'm sure the weekend's off to a blast. Also, a big thanks to Julia and Macy. I know, obviously, all of you guys have put in some work to make this a special weekend for Sam, but I know Macy and Julia in specific did put in a lot of time and effort just to make this a really fun weekend for her. So big thanks to you guys. She's super lucky to have you as friends. And yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions. I'm going to jump a little bit around on these questions because I think some of them lead into the others. But we'll go ahead and start with when was the first time you realized you were in love with Sam? And when was the first time Samantha realized she was in love with you? So I think the first time I realized I was in love with Sam, I think this is kind of a two-part answer for me. Sam came to Orlando when she was doing her prereqs for undergrad. I'd only met Sam once before then. And our good friend Travis, who's Candace's husband and one of my best friends, one of Sam's best friends, texted me and said, hey, my friend Sam is in town. She just moved there to do a prereqs for her graduate program. You guys should hang out. So I invited Sam over to my house. I was a senior at the time, or my first senior year. I did do an extra year. I'm sure my sister Rachel will mention that during this conversation. But my first senior year, Sam came over, and I had a house in Orlando with 5 buddies, and my room was massive. My room was like the size of our basically living room now in Salt Lake. And so when she came over, I was like, hey, do you want to go up and just hang out in my room? It was also like kind of my first adult room. I had a leather chair in the corner, a record player, like beautiful lighting all around the room, a desk set up. So she came up, and I remember like it was just yesterday, she sat at the end of my bed, and I sat in my desk, probably 5 or 6 feet away from each other. And we talked, we smoked, we hung out, we listened to music, probably till 1 or 2 in the morning. And I just remember her leaving and texting Travis and being like, this was one of the most amazing nights of my life. Like, Sam is one of the coolest people I've ever met. And, that meeting Sam that night kind of immediately ended the relationship with the girl I was with, because I knew I loved Sam, and I knew Sam was someone special and like a person I've never hung out with before. I could just talk to Sam endlessly for hours, and we talked about music, we talked about our lives, we talked about who we wanted to be and our dreams and aspirations. And over that 6-month period when Sam was in Orlando and we were friends, I felt pretty hard for Sam. We always maintained a friendship, and it was never, any sexual weird tension between us because we knew we were friends, and I really enjoyed that relationship with her. So that's when I kind of fell in love with Sam. I know Sam will say she never looked at me like that during that period, but I highly doubt that. I think there had to be a little part of her that knew she loved me as well then. But it wasn't until she came back to Orlando, and this kind of ties into when was our first kiss. That's when I knew I loved Sam more than just a friend, more than just a person. Was our first kiss, which I'll give Sam a second to answer that. Sam had been in town for a couple weeks. She just moved back to start her graduate program. I only had 6 months left before I hit the road and went out west and lived out of my Jeep. And Sam and I went to a Rufus Du Sol concert. And on the way there, I remember being in the Uber, And I didn't know Sam had broken up with her boyfriend. I was just there as a friend, excited to go to this concert with her. And we're driving past this pool hall, and I was like, hey, I think one of my buddies is there. Do you mind if we go in and shoot some pool before the concert and just hang out with them? And I remember her looking at me and saying, or not looking at me, not making eye contact, being like, yeah, I'd like to not go there. It's kind of where I went with my ex-boyfriend sometimes. And I was like, oh shit, ex-boyfriend. And the next thing I know, we're in the Uber, and I have no idea what I said, but I made some joke, and she laughed and touched my leg. And then I was like, oh God, this is insane. And the rest of the night, we danced, we laughed. We just had so much fun at that Rufus concert, and ended up kissing there. Ended up kissing a little back at my place, but that's as far as it went because it was the first night, and Sam's not that type of girl. But that was the moment I knew I loved Sam, and I knew I wanted to be with Sam. And that was really powerful for me because I was leaving in 6 months, and I'd spent 2 years planning this trip out of my Jeep. The first time I met Sam when she was there for her undergrad, I was telling Sam about this dream, and I was just so excited to kind of leave everything behind, leave everything I've ever known, go meet new people, have new experiences. And then Sam came back into my life, and it changed everything for me. And I fell pretty hard for Sam then. I'd be very curious to hear Sam's answer. I think Sam and I just had a pretty immediate connection. So I think Sam fell in love and realized she loved me around the same time. I'd be curious to hear what Sam has to say. As for the first time we actually said I love you, I believe it was in Delray at her place when I went down to visit her before I left for my trip, or it might have been in Jacksonville when she came up to visit me. I know for the longest time we kept saying we don't want to say I love you because I knew I was leaving. I knew I was doing this trip, and Sam was excited for me. Sam has never once, ever, even when I was living on the road for 3 years and she was in Atlanta, she's never once pushed me to stop what I'm doing or pushed me to quit chasing this dream. And she was pretty adamant about not saying I love you because she didn't want, me to have any hesitation on leaving and doing this trip. So we kind of joked a lot, and instead of saying I love you, we'd say I really, really, really like you. And we said that for basically months before I left. But I believe the first time I said I love you was in Delray Beach when I went down to see her. Or it might have been in Jacksonville when she came up to see me. Now on to a little less serious of a question, or serious depending on what kind of relationship you have. What is Samantha's favorite food? So this one's easy. Her favorite food, as in like something she'll snack on, would be cheese. I've never met a woman that will take a handful of shredded cheese and just down it or chew on a piece of Parmesan cheese. So I knew she was special from the moment I saw that first handful of cheese go down. As in her favorite meal, I think that's kind of a different answer. Sam loves soup. I know she loves a good soup, but I think if we're out and it's a special occasion, she's going with a seafood pasta, and I'm pretty confident on that answer. What is my favorite meal or favorite food? I'll do kind of the two-parter as well. My favorite food, I hope Sam gets this right. I eat it literally every single day, and every time I eat it, it feels like the first time. But I'm a big fan of eggs. I eat like 4 or 5 eggs a day. And then my favorite meal, I feel like my favorite meal to cook is a good steak, like a New York strip. And then if I've been traveling a bunch, if I'm editing a project, working super hard, my kind of reward for myself at the end of the week, as lame as this might sound, it is Chipotle. When was the moment you knew she would be your wife? I know it took me 6 years. I'm sorry, Sam. I've always loved you, and I can't wait to spend the rest of our lives together. But I think the moment I realized Sam would be my wife, honestly, the first time I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Sam would be when she came up and we did a fall trip up at camp up in New York, just the two of us. And that was the first time I'd been at camp with any partner, just the two of us. And it's the first time Sam had already been there for Christmas, but she hadn't been there in the fall, and she hadn't been there when it was just us. And we got there and we put our phones in a drawer for 7 days, and we played Scrabble. We didn't watch a lot of TV. We drank our morning coffee in silence and had the doors open and sat on the porch and took an afternoon walk every day. And bringing her to such a special place to me. Camp is literally my favorite place in the whole world. I think that's the moment I really started to picture a future with her and having kids. I think that was the moment that I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Sam and, have a future with her and bring our kids to camp and spend the rest of our life doing these trips to camp. And, just it's such a special place to me, and for her to appreciate it as much as I do and be able to be there with her. And it's such a special time, and just disconnect from the world for a whole week and not get tired of each other and just wish we had more time up there. I knew then that I wanted to, start a family with Sam and have our kids have that experience with us. And yeah, so I think that was a moment that I started to realize that I wanted Sam to be my wife and wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. What was the most fun you've ever had on a trip together? That's a really tough one. There's been so many good trips with Sam. Two that really stick out to me would be our Italy trip, just because that was kind of our first big international trip together. We definitely did it up for the whole 3.5 weeks we were over there, and hiked, ate pasta, pizza, got a little Audi sports car to drive around the Dolomites, stayed in really beautiful places along the whole way. And in fact, that was the first trip I felt like an actual adult traveling with my significant other, and we just had a blast. That's the trip we always talk about, and a trip we're excited to head back to Italy. So excited to be back there for Shirley's wedding this September. Good excuse to go back to Italy and have some Aperol spritz and some pasta while also doing some hiking and being active. I do think another trip that always stands out to me, though, and I always think back on, is the first time Sam ever came out to visit me. This could also kind of be classified as when I knew that Sam was someone I could be with long term. This was the first time Sam ever came out west. I'd left Florida in September. We'd kind of taken a little time off from talking. And then in November, I was like, hey, you should come out for your break. Come out west. We'll do a little bit of camping. I'll show you Salt Lake. And I just miss you. I want to see you. And she came out in mid-November out west, and we decided to go camping in Wyoming. It was 25 degrees out. We were camping on this like very wide open public land. It really wasn't even that pretty. And I just remember sitting by a fire. Sam has every single layer she owns on. We've got a duvet wrapped around her. I'm sure she could bring this photo up. And all you see is her eyes. We always joke and say she looked like a mom at a high school football game. She just was bundled up, and we just had the most amazing time. And I remember her leaving, and I thinking back, that's crazy. This girl's never camped. She's never really been outdoorsy. And she just came out west and visited me and did not complain one single time. I think that's one of my fondest memories of us camping together, because it was our first time. And Sam was always just so go with the flow. I mean, you guys know Sam is, you put her anywhere, she has fun. You drop her in a city, you drop her in the wilderness. I take her on a 25-mile round trip backcountry hike with ramen, and she's happy to be there. And that's something I really, really love about Sam. What is your favorite body part of Sam? Sam and I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm a lot, and there's a character called Leon on there. He's this black gentleman, this African-American gentleman who speaks kind of ghetto, and he always says like "dad ass." So I would guess Sam might say her waterbed ass would be my favorite part of her. Sam does have such a cute little petite body, and I love that about her. But I think my favorite body part of Sam, and I think I would guess that hers is the exact same for me, would be her hands. Sam has the smallest, cutest little tiny hands. When we went to do the ring fitting for Sam, I was in Jacksonville with my family, and we kind of wanted to see what the ring would look on a finger. And my mom had the ring on her pinky finger, and even that was bigger than Sam's ring finger. So Sam's got the cutest little hands, and I would guarantee that's what Sam has to say about me, is that her favorite part of my body is my hands. Where are you most excited to travel to after the wedding? Pretty confident on this answer for Sam. I think she is beyond excited to go to Japan. So am I. That's a big one we've been talking about forever. And just like being over there, eating sushi, eating ramen, getting a little hiking in and just exploring. It's going to be really incredible. And I think for me, there's kind of two big ones I want to do. I guess there's three. I'm excited to travel with Sam, and I can't believe she's taking this year off. And I just want to do these big trips that I typically do on my own and now be able to bring Sam along. And I just think it's something we're going to talk about for the rest of our lives with our kids when we're 80 and we're sitting on a back porch and we're talking about our lives. And we're going to talk about the time we went to Antarctica together, to Africa, to New Zealand. And I just can't wait for this next year. But I think if I had to pick one, I think Africa with Sam is what I'm really, really trying to get into. And yeah, no matter what, it's going to be an amazing year and something we talk about for the rest of our lives. What is the most embarrassed you've ever been around Sam, and what's the most embarrassed she's been around you? This is a tough one. I don't think there's a moment where I've really felt embarrassed around Sam. And I don't think there's a moment that sticks out in my head where she's been really embarrassed around me. I don't know. I think there's funny moments that have happened, but I don't think I've ever been really embarrassed in front of Sam. Or there's nothing that Sam has done that I hold and look back to and be like, wow, that was so embarrassing, Sam. Sam's funny. Sam's quirky. Sam says some crazy shit sometimes, but I can't think of a moment that's embarrassing. I think Sam getting caught, farting in the apartment when she doesn't think I can hear is pretty funny. I don't know. It's not embarrassing though. It's just funny. I do have a good one from the other night out to dinner that I think was pretty hilarious. And I think would have been even more hilarious if I didn't correct her and then had her say this when we were out to dinner with my family. But we were eating Spanish octopus. We were out for dinner for Sam's birthday dinner. And it was just a big piece of octopus. And Sam looks at me and says, man, it's crazy how big these testicles are on this octopus. And I thought she was fucking with me. I thought it was a joke. But Sam, instead of tentacles, thought it was testicles. And I think I should have not corrected her and let her go on until she was out with her friends or with my family and mentioned that. But other than that, Sam was just funny. You guys know Sam. Sam is hilarious, and I can't think of anything embarrassing. I think that's pretty much it for the questions, though. Looking over these are some good ones. Thank you, Julia, for sending these over. I hope I did a good job at answering these. And just a message for Sam. I hope you have a great weekend this weekend. I know you've already cried a lot, and I'm not sure what night this is being shown, but regardless, I'm sure you cried Thursday. I'm sure you cried Friday. You might be crying right now. Who knows? But I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. I think something really special about our relationship and my job and kind of the way our lives are is that we get to spend time away from each other. I know it can be hard sometimes, but I think being away from each other for 2 weeks or a month when I was in Antarctica gives me, and I'm sure it gives you, time to reflect on our relationship. I feel like it's very easy to get caught up in these daily routines and your daily relationship and, kind of forget how special the relationship is when you're seeing each other every day and kind of just in the routine of the same things. And when I was just in Antarctica, I had a lot of time to reflect. And I was trapped on a boat with the same people for 22 days. And I would definitely consider myself more of an introverted person. So that was a fun social experience for me to be around these people. And everybody was great. But it just made me realize how much I love Sam and why she's so special and that she's my best friend and I get along with her so well. And I just want to thank you, Sam, for always pushing me to continue what I'm doing. I know it's been hard sometimes. I know I'm away from home. I know, things are kind of uncertain sometimes with my job and what our plans are for the future. But Sam has always encouraged me to keep going, whether it was when I was living on the road and she was in Atlanta. I'd call her sometimes and, tell her I'm so burnt out right now, Sam. And I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And Sam would tell me, you have to keep going, Andrew. You can do this. I believe in you. Even though I know Sam would have loved for me to say, hey, come out to Salt Lake early or, quit your job. Let's move out 6 months before we thought we were going to. Sam always pushed me to stay on the road. She always pushed me to do these trips and continue chasing my dreams. And I always say this to her, but I truly, truly mean it, that I would not be where I am today. I would not be continuing photography and filmmaking. I would not be anywhere as happy as I am if it weren't for you, Sam. And I know you're the foundation of our little family right now and the foundation of our relationship. And you've always kind of been that rock for us. And I love you for that. And I appreciate you. I can't imagine my life without you. And I'm very, very grateful that I never have to ever again, because you're stuck with me for the rest of our lives. So thanks, Julia, again for sending these over. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Can't wait to see pictures and can't wait to see you guys at the wedding.